Well, thanks for joining us on this Monday night. We're going to start our show with a look back at the legendary life of former President Jimmy Carter, who died this weekend at home after being 100 years old. Carter came from humble beginnings, as most of you know, a peanut farmer in the state of Georgia. He used his small-town charm to work his way through politics, becoming Georgia's governor and eventually our nation's president. He ran our country with Minnesota Senator Walter Mondale as his vice president from 1977 until 1981. President Carter's goal was to make government competent and compassionate, and he did just that, especially after leaving the White House. A legacy focused on promoting peace, democracy, and human rights all over the world with the Carter Center, which he and his wife Rosalind founded in 1982. And aside from that Minnesota vice president connection, one of our state's biggest attractions has Carter to thank for being what it's become today. Heidi joins us with another piece of the legacy Carter is leaving behind.
Hi, Jana. Jimmy Carter's legacy in Minnesota touches everything from our state's homes to its waters. That includes the Boundary Waters.
The Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness is considered a national treasure.
It's 1.1 million acres.
One people like Chris Knopp work to protect. Chris is the executive director of Friends of the Boundary Waters, a nonprofit founded in 1976.
There was a law passed in 1964, a Wilderness Act, that had loopholes in it that allowed logging in the Boundary Waters and other activities that would impact a wilderness experience. And so the citizens came together over years and years, founded Friends of the Boundary Waters Wilderness.
That led to the passage of the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness Act of 1978.
It prevents logging, it prevents snowmobiles, it prevents mining in the wilderness area.
The act was signed by President Jimmy Carter.
This is President Carter's enduring legacy in Minnesota. When you look at what did President Carter do for Minnesota, it was to create the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. And each year, 150 to 200,000 people come to the Boundary Waters and have this unique experience of solitude, of true ability to reflect and rejuvenate. So over those roughly 50 years, nearly 10 million people have had that experience.
But its passage was contentious.
The key is to have political courage and a real vision for the future, and that's what President Carter had in spades.
And Carter's work did not stop after the White House. He built upon it with a foundation still centered on public service.
I would say that on an average, it's more fun to build habitat houses.
In October 2010, he visited Minnesota to build and repair homes for Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity as part of the Jimmy and Rosalind Carter Work Project.
When he had a tool belt on and a hammer in his hand, he was there to work.
Chris Coleman, president and CEO of Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity, built a home alongside Carter.
They really were the face of the organization as our number 1 and 2 volunteers.
I don't know of any other occupation that I've ever had that's more interesting and exciting and adventurous and unpredictable and gratifying.
Since then, the Carter Work Project has inspired more than 108,000 volunteers across the U.S. and in 14 countries to build, renovate, and repair nearly 4,500 habitat homes.
We know every day the charge that he set before us, which was to make the world a better place, and we will continue to do that work.
This past fall, Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity hosted the Jimmy and Rosalind Carter Work Project. 147 affordable homes are being built at the Heights, the largest modern-day investment in St. Paul's East Side. And Jana, while I was going through the footage, a familiar voice popped up.
I think I just went back in time for my own one-time meeting of President Jimmy Carter. That was me interviewing him. Gosh, it seems like 50 years ago, but I remember that day. It takes me back, and I remember thinking I was shooting the story myself, and I was calling back to KARE 11. I'm like, he's climbing the ladder himself. He's building the house himself.
That's incredible.
That was Jimmy
Carter.
It was
a great story, yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Thanks for bringing that back, Heidi. We appreciate it. What a life well lived. Well, there are major plans underway to honor that life, honor Jimmy Carter. His state funeral will be held on January 9th, and that's the same day President Joe Biden has declared a national day of mourning. Joe Biden is set to deliver a full eulogy at Carter's service that day.